Hi, welcome to the RedState Weekly Briefing. I'm your host, Aaron Gardner. With me right now, we have Thomas LaDuke. Joe is having a couple technical difficulties, so he's having an issue getting back on. Caleb is showing up as we speak, and there we have it. We have the crew ready to talk about the issues of the week. So this week, we're going to do our final last election update before the big night on Tuesday. On Tuesday night, just so you know, we are going to be having a RedState Weekly Briefing. I will not be present as the host, but Caleb and Joe are going to be holding it down for the most part. I will be working the elections in El Paso County, Colorado. As many of you know who follow my Twitter feed, I've been providing some updates on ballot counts. But that night, we're going to have Caleb and Joe rocking it, holding it down here, running the show. We're also going to have Brandon Finnegan from the Ace of Spades Decision Desk, and probably some other personalities from the Ace of Spades Decision Desk, along with other people from RedState and FTR Media, who can all come on, and we're going to talk about the election results live as they come in, and hopefully we'll have Ace of Spades Decision Desk beating the AP to calling each state's races. So just wanted to put that out there up front. This week we are doing our last election update. We're also going to talk a little bit about Lena Dunham admitting basically in her book that she molested her little sister. And in addition to that, we're going to, I don't know, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the patronizing Democrats in the last week of this election, whether it be patronizing with race in southern states or patronizing to women, calling them sweet pea in states like Colorado. So that's what we have planned for the show. Thanks, everybody, for showing up and being here. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the election update. And let me start, and we'll go over to Joe, and he'll give us some last-minute polling updates from across the nation, from YouGov and somebody else, I think ABC Marist. And then we'll start talking about some of these individual races across the states, and we'll get to Colorado, and I'll give you a little ballot update on that as well. Joe, what do you got going for us?
Okay, we had two big groups releasing polls this weekend. We had actually three if you want to count public policy polling, which I don't anymore. YouGov and NBC Marist both had some releases this weekend. NBC Marist, among other things, polled Louisiana for reasons that are beyond me. Because we know how Louisiana is going to end up. Mary Landrieu up +8 in this jungle primary. What's interesting, though, is showing that the Tea Party candidate Rob Maness, who's likely not going to make it to the general election, has 15% it's gotten 15% in the polling there, which is a huge leap in just a matter of like 1 or 2 months where his campaign really picked up. His campaign, very much a late blossom, and that campaign is why we are going to see a runoff or general, however you want to label it here in Louisiana, between Mary Landrieu and Bill Cassidy. Now, when it comes down to Landrieu and Cassidy, most polling is showing Cassidy up +5, but anytime I mention Mary Landrieu, I have to warn everybody who's a Republican, don't underestimate a Landrieu in an election. Also from NBC Marist, RedState's favorite supervillain Mitch McConnell up +9 over Grimes. We also have, let's see, NBC Marist, Nathan Deal and David Perdue, both in Georgia, both the Republicans running, one for governor, one for Senate, both up by bigger margins than previously thought. Both of those right now polling at a runoff. Our fearless leader, Eric Erickson, doesn't right now believe that the gubernatorial race is going to go to a runoff, but he definitely sees the Georgia Senate race going to a runoff, and I kind of see that as well. The YouGov poll, let's see, for you, Aaron, and I know you'll get into this in a sec, YouGov is showing Gardner up +1. It's also showing Bruce Braley up over Joni Ernst +1, but we have another poll that came out today from the Des Moines Register that showed Joni Ernst up +7, which is very much an outlier, but it is more in line with that Joni Ernst taking leads a little bit, not any +7s, but taking some leads in recent polling. PPP also has Mitch McConnell +8. Yeah.
Joe, let me break you there. One note on that Des Moines Register poll. Now, people are saying it's an outlier, and it is technically an outlier. But the reality is that Des Moines Register poll has one of the best records, one of the best track records throughout its history. It's usually considered the most solid poll, the pollster who's doing it, out there. So just for perspective, while it may be the outlier, it's from one of the most trusted sources. So carry on.
And that race, that Iowa Senate race, has been one of my favorite to watch because we saw Bruce Braley. He was up, and then he started making these really big missteps, not as big as Mark Udall, who we'll go into in a little while, but enough to where Joni Ernst has slowly been picking up some leads. The last 4 polls have her at +2, +1, +1, and then this +7, which again is the outlier, but like you say, the Des Moines Register does have a good history there. Other polls that we can look at, another one that I'm really interested in is the Colorado one, the Iowa one, and I'm really kind of interested in this Arkansas one because some of the Arkansas, I was up in North Louisiana this weekend, and some of the Arkansas ads are trickling down into the upper Louisiana television markets, and you can see some really strong advertising from the Cotton campaign and like nothing from the Pryor campaign. The public policy polling has Cotton up over Pryor +8. Another one, our buddy Leon Wolf mentioned this. This is a gubernatorial race in Wisconsin, still showing Scott Walker up +2 over Mary Burke, who had this wonderful ad about swastikas that came out recently. Other races that we look at, Kay Hagan right now, both Fox News and CNN Opinion Research have Hagan up +1 and +2 respectively. But that is very much that's a toss-up still. It could go either way in that race. And that's really the big ones that we've been looking at. Some of them we kind of know what's going to happen. But really the big ones to look out for right now are where you are, Aaron, in Colorado, the Iowa Senate race, and even a little bit this North Carolina Senate race is really going to be an interesting one to watch the final results come in on.
Yeah, and just a small note on Colorado, and we'll talk more about this when we get into some of the other stuff. But the ballot counts I've been working as an elections judge, so I've been going through and processing ballots each day for El Paso County in Colorado, and I've seen the results and what's been showed publicly in the reports and is being tracked by people like Ace of Spades headquarters. Everybody's watching these things, and the Republicans have consistently had this lead in ballots. Now, once again, in 2010, we had 100,000 lead in ballots, and we ended up losing it because of unaffiliated breaking way against us. Now, this year, we have some positive indications that those unaffiliates are going to be breaking towards us. One of the facts being that unaffiliates tend to be younger people, and that millennial generation, a lot of polling is showing that millennial generation is disenfranchised and disapproves of the Obama Democratic Party. So we'll see some pickup from that coming to our side. Now, the other thing is right now in Colorado, the Republicans are outpacing 2010 results so far by about a percentage point. The Democrats are underperforming 2010 by about a percentage point, and the unaffiliated are holding steady. And then the other key thing to consider is of the ballots that have been cast so far, the Republicans are showing something like 32 or 34% of those ballots being new voters who didn't vote in 2010, whereas the Democrats are showing a drop-off. Not a drop-off, but I mean there's this 30% showing new voters since 2010. So we're outpacing them with new voters. Now unaffiliated are showing about 37% being new voters that didn't vote in 2010. So there are a lot of variables in here, and you can't call the election. But if I see a lead of about 6 percentage points, 5 to 7 percentage points on election day in the early ballot for the Republicans, I'll feel comfortable going into the night that we'll probably get the Senate and may even pick up the governor's mansion. So there's a lot of positive stuff in the ballots for Republicans. Now, one other point I want to jump to is the New York Times' Nate Cohn, and they went out and basically said this weekend that they noticed that well, first Nate Cohn had said that it was probably getting real near doom, just like I had said, for the Democrats here in Colorado, because they hadn't started catching up and they hadn't had a single-day lead in ballots. Well, then he came out and said, hey, Saturday the Democrats had their first single-day lead in ballots statewide. There was only one problem with this, and he reported this morning, and I guess he didn't check it out or didn't know any better, but nobody in El Paso County worked yesterday in processing ballots. We worked today. So we came in today, we knocked out all the ballots for yesterday and all the ballots for today, and what it actually turns out is not only did the Democrats not have a lead, not have their first daily lead in ballots, the Republicans actually extended their overall lead by plus 4,000 votes. So the Democrat operation still hasn't fully kicked in. They had a good weekend, and they did get an uptick in their voters' returns, but in no way have they created a surge that we saw in 2010. And on that note, also, we haven't seen any surge in the polling, any realistic surge in the polling for Udall against Gardner like we did with Bennett against Buck. So right now I'm feeling pretty good about the race, but you never know what's going to happen in the last 2 days. So people need to get out and get their votes turned in, and we'll see what happens.
No.
LaDuke, you won't turn your ballot in, buddy?
Anarchy.
Absolute anarchy. So Joe, and there was no other real polls out. I think we hit Quinnipiac last week with Gardner and Beaupre, right?
Right. Let's see. I'm not going to.
I don't think there's anything big and breaking in the polls. There's been no significant shifts in the trends, and things are looking better and better for the Republicans each time we look at things. So. I think for our last election recap or pre-cap, I guess, we could say that it looks like we're poised to take the Senate. It's not out of the realm of possibility for us to take a net plus of 10. So with that, let's go ahead and shift to a different issue, and let's talk about issues that really matter. For me, some issues that really matter are things like defining deviancy down, the collapse of the social order, and the normalizing of Joe's haircut. These things piss me off. But what pisses me off more is when you have somebody who was put up to do a get out the vote ad for Barack Obama, and did this get out the vote ad as a virgin, saying these things like, you want to make sure your first time matters. And it's kind of creepy as it is, equating your first time voting to your first time having sex. But now it's been revealed through Lena Dunham's book that Lena Dunham, who did this provocative, I guess you could say, ad, get out the vote ad for Barack Obama, she's admitted in this book that she basically molested her little sister. And when you're bragging about your first time in voting and being a Democrat and voting for Obama and how special it was, to be the spokeswoman, the spokesgirl, I guess, of a generation of Democrat progressive voters and to have molested your little sister multiple times, that's just not what I would want my party to stand for, even if I was a Democrat, So these sort of things are pretty disgusting, and I want to go around the table and talk to everybody about this situation, because there's been a lot of left-wing progressives who have come out and defended Lena Dunham in a situation which is indefensible. LaDuke, if you ever caught somebody molesting a 1-year-old girl, what would you do? I mean, how would you ever trust them? Would you have them do a get out the vote ad for you?
I guess the incorrect answer, Aaron, is give them a Nobel Peace Prize. No?
No, I wouldn't give them a
I can't even fathom this. I don't have kids or anything. I do have a brother and a sister. I can't even fathom this. I've never understood why Lena Dunham was ever a thing. I've never watched the show. I could give a hoot and where. She's probably everything the left wishes they could be, but they're afraid to come out and actually do. So I'm sure that she will be embraced like Roman Polanski, will be given an Oscar in absentia, and that's all I got.
Well, the thing is you bring up a good point with Roman Polanski. This left-wing culture in Hollywood, we've seen this sort of stuff time and time again. We have Polanski, we have accusations against Woody Allen. I know there's more. I don't know who else I'm missing. Caleb could probably rattle a few off, but he's muted right now, so I can't go to him. But Joe, okay, I'll go to Caleb. He just unmuted for me. Caleb, what?
Excuse me, I was trying not to add background noise.
Oh no, well I thought there was something wrong, so I didn't go.
No, LaDuke told the mic that was adding in the background noise last episode.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it was him.
Oh.
It was him.
It was me. Remember how I blamed you?
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, it turns out it was me, not you. That's the closest I'll come to saying that you were right and I was wrong.
You heard it right there. He just said I was right.
He did. We'll put that in the vault and we'll forget about it, just like alcohol. God. So Caleb, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Well, I guess you had your headphones muted as well. Then the question was, we have this left-wing progressive.
Oh right, you wanted me to talk about
bitter ass type of thing that goes around.
Name. Yeah, I got it. You wanted me to talk about this female actress's name and this female actress's book and this female actress's commercials and this female actress's public persona. Would that basically be?
No, I think
this nameless person who already has way more attention than this nameless person has any right to expect.
Okay, we won't use her name anymore in the show, but what I want to get to is this normalizing of deviant behavior. That's what I want to talk about. And it's prevalent in progressive society, and it leads to the downfall of nations. So that's what I'd like to discuss.
Yes, I do think that this person will bring about. Yeah, I do think that person who we are not naming will bring about the downfall of Western society. I will agree with that.
She would be of course, a cog in the wheel for sure.
Everything gets defined. It's the very nature of the progressive movement is to define everything as okay as long as somebody who is progressive wants it to be. As long as someone that's on their side wants it to be okay, it's okay. It's just like we were saying last week about Ted Kennedy. It's okay, he killed that girl. It was totally worth it. And she would agree. That's what they say.
And it's sickening, though. I mean, because this isn't... again, there's certain things where you can say, oh, well, liberals, it's not going to hurt anybody if they do this. If you don't want a gay marriage, don't get one, blah, blah, blah. But this is the thing. After gay marriage, the next thing is polygamy, and the next thing after that is we're already seeing. We're seeing left-wing people go out and call her a hero for coming out and saying that she molested her little defenseless sister.
The marriage.
The incest marriage in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Now, Joe, you're from Louisiana. Why don't you talk about the incest marriage? I'm sure you got some experience with that.
Waka, waka, waka. Can I say one more thing about this person whose name I prefer not to say? What really bugs me is the way that
hey guys, what's up?
She's treated like some sort of deeply insightful, deep voice of her generation. And I just think if I was part of her generation, I would be morbidly insulted by the fact that people considered it normal to act like her. I would be insulted.
Exactly.
Hi, that's my generation.
Exactly, Joe. It's your generation.
Joe is not a good judge of anything because he watches America's Next Top Female Show, or I'm not sure what it's called.
It's called Project Runway. I like Project Runway. I admit it.
No, there's more than that. You're watching the Gilmore Girls and anything where estrogen is part of the writing process. That's got Joe's seal of approval.
His favorite show is The Golden Girls.
No, I draw the line at
The Golden Girls was a funny show. You don't know anything.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't say I knew anything. I just said
Not
the Golden
remotely the same thing.
because it had 50% less estrogen, and Joe loved it. Okay.
Anyway, so about Lena Dunham,
Who?
who?
Oh, you said it.
Dunham.
Now we have to put a quarter in the jar.
It's our swear jar. About this god-awful actress who seems to always be naked on TV for some reason. Regrettably. Were there no editors, like, in the process of writing this book? Did nobody say, hey, this is wrong? Can we cut, like, this out and not tell anybody that you ever...
I'm just amazed that the news even... Because the implication there is that someone read it.
You reviewed it, and none of the reviewers read this and said, what?
Well, this doesn't seem right. Maybe don't put that in the book.
Well, you know,
what you don't know is the chapters they cut.
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, things we can find in there. But you know, it would
the ritualistic satanic murder of 7 college.
The one thing about television that I think Caleb Howe and I have ever agreed on is how attractive Hardigay is. And this scene from Lena Dunham's book, I think, will be probably a Law & Order SVU episode at some point, if it hasn't been already.
Oh,
did you say Mariska Hargitay?
Yes.
Yeah, she is gorgeous.
That's what you and I agreed on at the gathering. That's like the one thing we've ever agreed on about television. And like she's going to be starring in an episode that is written kind of around this scene. It has to happen.
It probably will.
No way,
honestly, it probably will because they do that. That's how they that's how they maintain the relevance of the shows of the Law and Order series. Attach them to news, right?
Right, and so this. But again, there were editors in the process of writing this book, and there were people who reviewed this book, and none of them wrote about this one part of the. How is this just now coming out?
When did the book come out? Oh, like I can't believe you sucked me into talking about this. I don't care when the book came out. Forget the book.
Yeah, forget the book, but let's move on to the issue once again. Okay, so basically, this person admitted to a crime, and everybody's acting like it's no BFD, right? Like Biden's like, no, it's not a BFD, and he knows BFDs. But you know, the thing is,
you got to stop saying this.
Hold on. Biden commented on this?
No, I'm making a point. You know, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, it was a bad joke, you know. Every once in a while, one goes off. But, you know, all these different things. That's
what she said.
All these little things, like you guys said, and it's not just in the book what she did to her little sister, but it's also about things that she plotted and thought about and wrote out about being vindictive and evil towards other people. And she's obviously psychologically disturbed. And everybody wants to brush these things under the rug and not attach them to what it all comes down to. And that's the fact that, you know, people who molest children are probably psychologically disturbed. You know, people who do crazy stuff and risky behavior continually, even though they know they're going to get screwed up by it, probably psychologically disturbed. And we don't ever deal with these things, and we say, oh, well, we can't talk about the social issues. Oh, we got to let freaks be freaks. It's okay. No, you don't. You can tell freaks that we can have standards in life. You know, having some standards in life isn't a bad thing. It's why we don't have an Ebola outbreak.
Why don't you start by having standards?
Did you mention Roman Polanski, by the way?
Yeah, we mentioned Roman Polanski earlier.
I'm still getting lag on you, so I can't tell when you're talking.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Yeah, you did. I said,
no, I didn't.
I said, Aaron, you start by having standards, and then you can lecture everybody else.
I have standards. I married up.
Oh yeah.
Well, you had nowhere to go but up, buddy.
No, the correct way you got to look at it, she married down.
Well, you know, maybe lateral. Come on.
No, that was a 3-step drop. That's what that was. Poor gal.
So you see social deviancy in Detroit. What's your opinion on this sort of stuff?
Well, you know what? This woman should be pointed at and mocked and laughed, if not thrown in jail. I mean, honestly, she's. I don't understand. Like I said, I've never watched the show. I know she likes to be nude. I don't know if she's good looking, nude. I don't care. I just know that she's on some show that is probably immensely overrated, probably isn't 10% as interesting as The Sopranos on one of their worst episodes, and that she molested anybody is just mind-boggling to me. But then I fall back and go, okay, wait a minute. This is Hollywood.
The real question is, why does she feel comfortable? When she's writing this and the people who are editing it, what is it that goes on in their mind that goes, this is okay to say, this is all right? Why is she comfortable saying this? Why is she comfortable with the fact that she did it? Why doesn't she express deep regret? Why does she feel like it's just some formative experience of her own life?
Right.
I mean, aside from the very blatant, the very blatant egotism, she's clearly one of those people who has that I am the center of the universe mentality.
Right. And what kills me is I know family members and friends who have been molested as children, and it is something that has affected them throughout their lives. And just seeing that sort of stuff. How can she be so nonchalant about molesting her own sibling, her own blood? That's right. It's just amazing to me.
And not to diminish that, but I think it bears mentioning that there's also the unsubstantiated rape charge. That seems pretty serious to me, too.
Yeah.
That is very serious, and the fact that somebody wrote up a post about that saying, well, yeah, Kevin Williamson over at the NRO, he had in his post where he was basically able to find out who it was easily and called the guy. And I mean, if a right-wing reporter can find him, I'm sure a left-wing reporter or a Democrat operative or somebody who has ill intent could find him as well. So I mean, it's completely irresponsible to do that.
But also, I mean, I don't understand to an extent. I don't understand celebrity culture the way that it reaches. I understand it to a certain degree. You're fascinated with the people that everybody knows their name, that you see on TV all the time. It's a common shared experience to discuss. But the point where we're going deep inside of their emotional problems, that I can't understand that. Why do we want to know about the grotesque details of this grotesque woman's life?
Sell books.
That's what I'm saying, though. Well, who wants to buy that?
Well, look, who wants to watch the show? This is a popular show, right?
Well, I don't know. It might be a good show. I've never seen it.
Okay.
It's on one of the pay channels, okay?
Yeah, I think it's on HBO.
Yeah. Poor people. I'm a poor people. We don't.
No. I've got to go watch HBO through the neighbor's window, so I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, that's a little out of my price range.
Yeah, exactly. So
Which is less creepy than what she wrote.
I have. That's right, Joe. Thank you. It's about time we heard from you. So I'm sitting here and just saying, hey, I don't know anything about this broad, other than the fact that evidently she likes to get nude and she pops off about stuff that obviously, like in politics and policy and everything, that she's never put any thought to.
That's exemplary of her entire generation.
Okay.
I mean, look at Vox.
I love Vox.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That's your number one source for Ebola news, right?
That is my number 2 source for Ebola news. Okay. When I want to find out what you guys are talking about, I go to InfoWars.
That's right.
And then I find out what's going to be coming down the pike in the next 24 hours.
To the section of InfoWars labeled Aaron Gardner. It's got its own header graphic and everything. It's his face, but it's like got a question mark over it.
Do I have octopi tentacles?
I don't know why you said that. That's pretty gross. You should write a book.
But I mean, these celebrities, they just read cue cards. They don't know what they're talking. I mean, I'm sure she's
Some do. Some know what they're talking about. Some celebrities know what they're talking about. Well, what makes them look? There's plenty of celebrities on the left that when they say something, like on Twitter, everybody on our side goes, "I wish they would shut up. They don't know what they're talking about." But who are you? What do you know? I mean, half the people who complain they don't have political jobs. They don't have degrees. I mean, it's just they're just regular people.
I'm not saying that they don't have a right to say whatever. Absolutely not, because I'm a First Amendment guy, because I do that, and people tell me to shut up all the time.
Yeah, people tell me to shut up all the time too.
Okay, you have right now. What is the cause du jour? It's climate change.
Right.
Okay. 5 years ago, George Clooney was out there talking about that, global warming. He doesn't have a clue. He's a nice guy. I'd love to have a drink with him. But in terms of climate, he doesn't know anything about it, and the majority of them don't. They've never read an article. They've never, ever, talked to anybody who's knowledgeable in that field. They just regurgitate what they hear, and they want to be part of the hip crowd.
Yes.
So they have a right to say it. But the majority of them just go and they do this when they're at a party.
Right. So the line you're drawing is that so if they want to get on Twitter and they say this is my opinion, that's one thing. But it's another thing when they take the gravity of their notoriety and use it to lend credibility to something that may have no credibility, all doing so while having no actual authority or information to back up what they're saying.
Yeah. Who was the guy that played the loser on Seinfeld? Because I never watched Seinfeld.
Kramer.
George Costanza.
Michael Richards.
Yeah. Costanza. Okay. He used to mix it up. He's a poker player.
It's funny. When you say loser, I think the real life loser. He's the one that went all racist. Kramer.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're talking about the character was a loser.
Yeah, the character. Yeah. He used to dive into some of these issues. And he'd get his ass kicked, and then he'd be upset about it, and he never called anybody a racist, per se, but it was always like, well, you have a problem with Obama and, his point of view. Yeah, because it's wrong. It has nothing to do with that he's black, your insinuations and everything. And anytime I used to mix it up with him, I'd always end it with, you're just pissed off because you're a poor poker player. And then he would stop talking. So these guys, I respect that they have the right to speak, absolutely. But a lot of times it's just to go along with the herd so that they get invited to the parties. And that's why I don't get invited to the parties like you and Aaron do.
Well, a good example of someone who does it just to go along with the herd is when Seth Rogen was popping off a few weeks ago. It was about Gamergate, whatever the hell that is. And but he clearly, every time I ask, somebody says don't ask. So I guess I won't. But he clearly hadn't the slightest notion of what it was about, like me. He didn't have any idea whatsoever. But he immediately was like, jumped in and was, Adam Baldwin must be as terrible of an actor as he is a activist or whatever. I mean, just immediately popped off for no reason because he thought it was the cool thing to do, to be on the correct, cool side.
Right.
If I say Seth Rogen 6 more times, he might watch our podcast.
I think if you say Seth Rogen more than 5 times in a row, he just appears in your house with a joint.
Oh.
That was 9/10 of the way to a good joke.
With Lena Dunham by his side.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So let's not say it anymore.
I don't have a problem with saying Lena Dunham. I don't. Caleb's upset because he dated her back when he was 18.
That is why. That is it. No, it has bothered me for weeks now that all of a sudden she has been, just like that, because she was in that ad and we didn't like her, that now she's gone from this cultural icon to all of a sudden a political and social icon, a social activism icon, and I think we're the ones that are responsible. All of us out here talking about her and complaining about her are the ones who have elevated her position. It's made her a bigger deal to them.
Well, I don't know if I buy that because I think she's just central casting for the Democrats and the Progressives. Who was that other female who was voice of a generation, posed as a college student, was actually college age? What was her name? That's not funny. Sandra Fluke. Or Fluck.
Oh,
or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's Sandra Fluck, Lena Dunham, some other white chick who looks like just a plain Jane girl who probably,
Whoa.
could stand to lose.
Why you got to go for her looks, man?
Well, no, I mean that's their hook. That's their hook. This plain, normal, everyday-looking girl, and she's just, she's just this girl, and you should follow her, okay? And do what she does, and vote Obama.
Okay, first of all, never do that again, ever. Never, ever do that impression again. All right, because it's going to be like a month before I sleep.
Just picture my face on Lena Dunham's body.
Well, there goes all of our viewers. I think you broke LaDuke.
Hey, LaDuke, you're gonna be...
You know what? Your face is as red as your shirt, and I hope you keel over now. Okay? That's what I hope.
I just texted Donna to bring me something to burn my eyes out of my head.
Hey guys, when does the show start?
Joe Cunningham, thanks for joining us here in the Red State Weekly Briefing. Joe, what do you think about incest in Louisiana? Aaron wants to know if you have a view on that.
We can't even go back to other parts of the show to find something decent to talk about. This has been it's just one disaster after another.
This has been horrible.
Hey, look here, Sweet Pea. Let's talk for a little bit. Corey Gardner's been weirding our weather. Fool went out, banned all birth control. Can't find a condom nowhere. I got 24 kids now. I need the state to come in and give me entitlements.
Peace out.
Are you high?
No, I'm breaking away and going towards the next segment because we only got so much time left, and I was killing myself on the last one.
And
so were a lot of people in the audience. They were killing themselves.
If the power of the internet were enough to kill you, it would have right now.
We've actually increased viewers over the last 3 minutes, so...
Is that because we switched topics?
No, it's because we said Seth Rogen a bunch of times. He takes up more viewers.
I tweeted a picture of a naked Lena Dunham with our hashtag. That's what happened.
Did you put Aaron's face on it?
No, I need you to do that for me, Caleb.
No, I
tweeted. I tweeted
That's
a poll
not
out.
happening.
I
have to use this computer.
Aaron's shirt or his face? Yeah.
Hey, Caleb, you want to take a dry run at the hosting thing right now? Because I think Aaron's done.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Red State Weekly Disaster. My name's Caleb Howe. I'll be going down with the ship.
And it's all the fault of global...
We have a 4-piece orchestra over here drowning, but they're going to keep playing.
Because they're pros.
Because they are professionals.
They are pros. The British, they all looked at each other right before the ship went in, and they were like, right, keep playing then, mate. That's what they did.
It is arguably worse than the discussion so far that you tried to do a British accent.
I thought that added some levity, Caleb.
I only knew it was British from the context because it sounded like a impaired Australian person.
You've ever been around an English or Australian person.
I'll have you know, the very first time I took flying lessons, it was with a drunk Australian guy.
Was he drunk while he was flying?
That's why I was flying.
Oh, makes sense.
Oh my gosh. Hey, well, just so everybody knows, Pope Sparkles says that I actually do a good typical white girl impersonation, so take that, guys. So what I wanted to do with that lead-in that I gave Caleb, I'm back. I'm solid now.
All right.
So what I wanted to do, let's move into our last segment, okay? And before we wrap everything up, we'll go back and we'll talk about the fact that we're doing the election night Red State Weekly Briefing. We'll start a half hour before polls close, and we will go until a half hour after West Coast closes. And if we need to go longer, we will, but we hope we won't have to.
What?
But this last week, in the end of the campaign, we saw a couple things happening in different races where people were basically losing their crap and jumping the shark in these races. We had Next Gen Climate Action here in Colorado run this radio ad that was completely patronizing of women, basically, saying that Cory Gardner had banned all contraceptions and now there were no condoms anywhere, and this young male is explaining to this young woman who he calls Sweet Pea why there are no condoms to be found, and how Cory Gardner is just screwing up life all around and weirding our weather and all this crazy crap. Wow. Completely patronizing. Now, I believe it was in Louisiana, we had Landrieu basically come out and call the people of Louisiana racists, right?
The people of Louisiana who have voted twice now for Governor Bobby Jindal are racist and possibly sexist, even though they have also been electing her. So yes, we are all racist.
You seem to have forgotten that when you get your Republican card, you trade in your I'm a different race card.
Right, that's true. Once you're a Republican, you're just white.
You are a white male, regardless of your actual gender or place of birth.
Can I just add really quick that I'm really proud of Senator Landrieu for ripping the playbook from Senator Cochran. That was a smooth move on her part. Thank you.
Well,
it's only funny because it's true, and that's also why it's not funny.
Guys are not letting it go.
And he
never let it go.
Thomas, LaDuke, let me tell you this, just to egg you on just a little bit. Let me tell you what I read yesterday, and it's of course it's from Chuck Johnson, so take it with a big grain of salt or whatever. But it's an audio of a felon who was approached by Cochran people, in her words, to go ahead and vote illegally. And it's like a 20-minute long audio clip that Chuck has over at Got News. And, I don't know whether it's real, accurate. I don't know. I can't speak to the,
The weird part, it was Lena Dunham.
You're right, exactly. That's the part that scared me. It was Lena Dunham, and she was voting for her sister, who she had just outed. But just to put a point on your point, it's
yeah, that didn't sound right at all. No. Yeah.
I'm out.
I'm doing all righteous indignation, and you just did that, Aaron. What the hell's the matter with you?
Well, I was just saying that yes, bad things probably happen in Mississippi. Not as bad as the things that happen in Lena Dunham's bedroom, but
right.
What if Chuck Johnson happened in Lena Dunham's bedroom?
No, I thought I'd bring that up. That hey, congrats to Senator Landrieu for ripping a playbook out of Senator Cochran's one. That of course he didn't even know was in his playbook. He just showed up and somebody put a bib on him. Yeah. So that's a great job. Love the race card being played when it has no business being played. But hey, if it's good for the GOP, if it's good for the Dems, it's good for the GOP. It's good for the Dems. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Well, whatever works. That's the reality of it. But Going back to what I led into this with, it's funny how openly the Democrats are either being patronizing or downright offensive to females, blacks, just regular people, citizens, residents of their states. They're being total jerks. And we saw it with Bruce Braley talking about, he's just some farmer. He's not a lawyer. It's ridiculous how openly they've been doing this throughout this cycle, and how they still expect that all these independent voters are just going to come crushing in for them at the end. How? You've been insulting them the entire cycle. What makes you think that near the end they're going to come and actually vote for you?
They're insulting them all the time.
Well, yeah, they're insulting them all the time. They're insulting everybody all the time, and you got to figure that at a certain point, someone's got to stop allowing themselves to be insulted and vote differently. That's what I'm saying. How long can they be insulted by an administration and senators who they continually send back to represent them? How long will they do it? I know the GOP side, we asked that in primaries, but in a general election context, how long? We saw that video from Rebel Pundit that came out where it was talking about, it was all these different African Americans basically coming out and saying, that it's African American Democrats that are screwing us over. It's not white Republicans, So I mean, I believe there can always be an awakening, and I just wonder how long. How long will it be until people wake up? Maybe maybe we've woke a lot of them up this midterm election cycle. I hope we have.
I'm not nearly as optimistic, but I'm interested in what you guys have to say.
Well, you live in Detroit. How could you be optimistic? I mean, honestly, the place is like just one big machine that's about to fall apart.
Run by a Republican governor, Republican House and Republican Senate that passed a minimum wage increase and passed Common Core reform and
the party label doesn't matter. It's the policies they put in place, and conservative policies work, and liberal, whether Republican or Democrat, policies don't. They suck.
I'll leave it because I don't want to get too far off track, but I'll just leave it at this. And you and I talked about this earlier today, Aaron. I'm really going to be interested to see what happens after Wednesday, how everything starts to shape up, assuming the Republicans get the Senate. What exactly is going to be on the agenda? Because what they ran on was, we're not the guy at 1600 Penn. So what is it that they're going to do? And my bet is that it's going to be 2 years of mashed potatoes and applesauce, because we can't do anything because we don't have the White House, and they're going to sell us a bill of goods. And if anybody who's conservative tries to run, they've got the Cochrane playbook, and they'll do that. They'll humiliate another conservative, quote-unquote, Tea Party Republican.
Well, but here's the thing, though. Your assumption is that the Tea Party type or conservative type candidates won't be able to learn and adapt, and I think that's an incorrect assumption, considering we learned and adapted in 2010 and then in 2012. Now the NRC learned and adapted as well this cycle, but I don't believe they can get away with that twice.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to be. That's one of the things I'll be watching. I'll be interested to see.
Well, yeah. What I'll be interested to see is the tiers of my opponents, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of them. I think it was Matt Hobbs on Twitter sent out a frame of like 8 different MSNBC hosts, all with like putting fingers to their heads or freaking out faces and stuff like that, and basically said this is going to be MSNBC on election night. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I don't care about the after-election stuff yet. I want to see the freakouts. I want to see the 2006 meltdown mirrored.
You should have seen Ed Schultz last week.
Well, MSNBC.
Well, he's already started with the complaint. Well, they're probably going to win the House because of all the gerrymandering. It's just like,
no gerrymandering.
Well, they've already moved on from there. There's a story on MSNBC's website today where they're running this full fluff piece for Bruce Braley about how his campaign is complaining that all the polls are wrong, which sounds really familiar from our side, actually. But they're finding every excuse they can, whether it's racism, whether it's gerrymandering, whether it's unskewing the polls, which is a phrase that somehow still exists, and they're in full blown panic mode. Everybody on the left is trying to come up with some excuse, and they are not.
That's because they can't understand. That's the difference. The main difference between Republicans and Democrats when they lose an election is the Republicans can't figure out what they did wrong, and the Democrats can't figure out what the hell's wrong with the voters, because they think it should be obvious to vote for them. They write whole books about it. Have you read What's the Matter with Kansas?
What's the Matter with Kansas? Exactly.
It's their whole premise is, how can you possibly not vote for us? It boggles their minds.
But then again, I think that boggles a lot of Republicans' minds, especially in the establishment ranks. Like Mitt Romney even. It boggled his mind more than likely that he lost. And I was kind of
Did he write a book about it called "What's the Matter with Me Losing"?
No, but he probably could.
So it's just your conjecture.
But you know what? In all fairness, because I've read a lot about the 2012 now. In all fairness, Romney's people were telling him he was going to win by 2 or 3. I mean, up until like the day of. There was no indication that he was getting from his people. That's why he was stunned, and he paid them a hell of a lot of money.
Well, Aaron's website said that's because the Illuminati brought the lizard people up from underground to skew the vote. That's what Aaron's website said.
Well, you can never underestimate the lizard people vote. The fact that Republicans for years have denied lizard people existence, that's why lizard people's vote 99% Democrat. I mean, don't be stupid.
Well, Dennis Kucinich is one of them, so.
That's true. That's how they've kept Ohio.
Kept Ohio. Oh.
And, of course, Henry Waxman seals up the alien freak show vote, so.
Yeah, so what's the count on states that I've openly offended tonight?
I think you're at about 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's started at 50 when people saw your face on the air.
So out of President Obama's 58 states, you've got 53 to go.
I got my work cut out for me, but we got more shows coming. We're coming up on Tuesday night, like I was saying. Tuesday night, we're going to join the combined forces of Ace of Spades Decision Desk, FTR Radio, RedState Weekly Briefing, and even Eric Erickson. We're going to have a post up on RedState that's going to have all of these shows broadcasting all at once. You can click on whichever link that you want to click. If you want to listen to the FTR feed, you can listen to that. If you want to watch RedState Weekly Briefing, you can watch the weekly briefing. If you want to see the freshest returns from Ace of Spades headquarters, we're going to have that as well. If you want to go ahead and listen to Eric Erickson's radio show and him live calling the elections from WSB in Atlanta, you can do that as well.
And shouldn't we mention that the next day, if you want to go over the results and find out all the analysis, Aaron, isn't there somewhere that people can go?
There is somewhere that people can go. After the election, the very next morning, we are going to have an after-election conference call at RedState. You can find the link to sign up and register for that right on the front page of RedState. It'll be in a red box just below where it says Eric Erickson.
And Aaron and I will both be tweeting it right after the show.
We will. We'll be tweeting this link. You'll also be able to find it in the RedState Twitter feed as well throughout the week. And do sign up. Do come on and talk with us. We're going to have people on there going over analysis post-election. We're also going to be talking about what we can expect, as LaDuke alluded to, what we can expect from a GOP Senate. So,
Can I add something really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know how because that was such a great idea. And I told you that. I said I love that idea. I'm going to be talking, as long as the call doesn't bleed too far into it, because my show's on at 11, I will be wrapping up what you guys wrapped up on my show at 11 a.m. that day.
Awesome.
Bourbon on the Run.
There you go.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the time that we're going to be on is at 9 a.m. That's the time that the conference call is going to be. And you'll be able to call in, and it's a conference call system that we'll probably be able to record it as well, and we might be able to broadcast that.
And Joe is going to be crazy hungover, so it should be hilarious.
Right, yeah, Joe will be crazy hungover. And also, people who do call into the conference call, there is the ability for callers to ask questions. So that will be a part of the conference call, and I hope you guys all attend.
Yes, and make sure that you are prepared to ask Joe for his appletini recipe and his advice on shoes.
I just got a new mixology book, so I will be I got a new mixology book today at Target, so I'll be making drinks live on air Tuesday night.
At Target?
Well, Cosmos and Sex on the Beach.
I hate to inform Joe of this, but that wasn't an actual cocktail book. That was Lena Dunham's book, so whatever you do not mix that, okay?
I'm extending an invitation right now to you guys. If you want to all join me at 11 a.m., we'll do a RedState Weekly Briefing midweek post-election thing. if you guys want to do that Wednesday at 11.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down.
Yep.
Caleb, will you be up?
Of course.
No, you won't. Joe?
No promises because I will be teaching.
Screw you, Joe. Screw you.
Honestly though, we don't need Joe.
Yeah, the horse race is over after this one, so what the hell do you need me for? Tuesday's my last show, guys. It's been great.
Well, look, we still need makeup tips.
That's true.
I don't do makeup. I only do fashion.
And we do need to know who's winning America's top next model.
I don't watch that. I watch Project Runway. Get it straight, guys. Come on. Project Runway and
Whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. Do you wear a slanket while you watch it?
No, I have standards.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
I have standards, for God's sake.
On that note, this has been the Red State Weekly Briefing. I am your host, Aaron Gardner.
We're so sorry.
RedState.com. We're so sorry for how this show turned out. We apologize profusely. If you were thinking of investing in our show and now we're not, please come back next week. We'll do better. Everybody, let them know where they can find you. Caleb.
I'm not saying anything. I don't know you people or what's going on. Don't find me anywhere. I have nothing to do with this.
That's at Caleb Howe on Twitter. Joe.
You can find me on RedState, on Twitter at Josie_Esquire. No, I'm not a lawyer, so it is safe to follow me. And just so you know, I'm all about that bass, no treble.
All right, there you go. LaDuke, where you at?
LaDuke at FTRradio.com and Irish Duke 2 on the Twitters.
All right, there you go. That's the show for the week. We'll see you all later. Music.